We are LEO, a 501c3 nonprofit organization with a mission to support the education of under-resourced Palestinian youth from the region. We're constantly evolving to address the needs of the youth to empower them through higher educational opportunities. At LEO, we prepare and match students with existing worldwide scholarships and follow them throughout their educational journey.
I'm Dia Leonard-Dresner, the founder and executive director of the Leonard Education Organization, also known as LEO. I decided to name the program in honor of my father, Dr. Graham Leonard, who initially went to Palestine, to the town of Ramallah, in 1950. And ever since then, he has devoted his life and his work to education for the Palestinian people. So I thought it was appropriate to establish an organization in his honor. About 6 years ago, I was approached by Palestinian students already studying in this country, and they asked me if I could help them establish an organization that would take a holistic approach on their needs, their care, and just generally assisting them in all the things that they would need so far away from home. I'm often asked why we only work with Palestinian youth. We work with Palestinians because we are Palestinian. A lot of our donors, a lot of our board members, and our support structure, not to mention our older students who run the program with me, are Palestinian. So we decided to dedicate our work to the people of Palestine. Our students come from the camps of Lebanon, from camps of Jordan, even camps in the West Bank. They come from Gaza, and we have one orphan who's a Palestinian born in Egypt.
My name is Samer. I'm currently involved with the organization LEO as one of their mentors. I arrived in the US from the West Bank in 2008. I'd grown up in the West Bank in a city called Jenin and went to school there until finished high school. And I arrived here on a scholarship program similar to LEO at Illinois College and finished my undergraduate degree there, went on to do a degree in international affairs at the University of Chicago and a PhD in political science at the George Washington University. I got here in 2008, and I had grown up all my life in a small town in Palestine called Jenin. And when I arrived here in the US, I was placed at a small liberal arts college in a small town in the Midwest in the United States called Jacksonville, Illinois. And people ask me about the culture shock. And my response is, what culture shock? I went from a small town to another small town. The biggest culture shock for me happened when I moved from that town into Chicago. I moved into a very large city, a larger university, and for the first time I had to navigate life, American life, in a way I had never thought about before. And it taught me so much about who I am. It helped me think about my life back in Palestine, my community, my country, our politics quite differently. Life here has taught me to look at Palestine and its politics and its societies and dilemmas, both as an insider because I'm a Palestinian, but also as an outsider. I can look now with a different perspective. Living in the United States for the last 15 years and navigating life without my family here, without my Palestinian community around me, has really forced me to think hard and deep about what is it that I want to achieve in life, where do I want to go with my career, has helped me think about my society, what is it that I can contribute even from afar. And frankly, that's part of why I'm engaged with LEO today. I want to be in touch with my Palestinian community, even though I'm far away. I don't want to lose that connection. And now I can exploit my own place in higher ed as someone who's an educator and about to be a college professor in advancing the academic careers of Palestinian students through LEO.
Students find us in many different ways. We have a website, we have a Facebook page. We're now quite well known in the refugee camps and in some of the schools in the region. So students start to apply to us, and we have a very strong vetting system. which all the students put together. We establish our standard operating procedures early on before we open the doors of Leo. And one of the most important focuses obviously was how to select the right student to experience an opportunity like this and to ensure that they succeed. So we have a process by which we interview them. We have questions, we have trick questions, and we all take turns getting to know this new student, usually via Zoom or Skype. And once we select them, then we start the process of introducing them to everybody in the community, and then working through what they need to do to select the right school for their interest, study of interest. We want to make sure that they are studying at a school that offers the field that they're interested in. We often take into consideration, are we taking this young person from a village and putting them in a big university, in a city? How will they manage that transition? Or will this young person that comes from a big bustling city manage in a liberal arts college out in the countryside, for example? We take all of these things into consideration when we recommend who the students apply to, and we normally select between 5 and 7 colleges, universities for them to apply to.
My name is Hiba. My place of birth is Bethlehem, and I am from a refugee camp. I am studying international law and human rights. I am a senior student. I chose this profession, international law and human rights, because I find myself in this specialization, and I find my personality because I like to improve my skills through this specialization. For example, communication skills, public speaking, in order to portray many international issues, especially refugees issues. My biggest goal now is finishing my senior project, because I am working on international law and media, and I have to mix these specializations together in my senior, like how NGOs, organizations portray refugees issues to all over the world, especially Western world. Also, my biggest goal is applying for many universities abroad Palestine, because I want to complete my education. Happiness for me is seeing my family healthy and traveling all over the world to know many cultures and to create many relationships, and taking care of my birds also happiness means for me. Actually, the most memorable moment with cooperation with Leo, virtually the organization provides me with an extensive network of brilliant Palestinian students in all over the world. Each one of these students inspired me in some situations. For instance, when I have an initiative called Refugee Leader. The Refugee Leader project is an initiative that brings together Palestinian students in refugee camps for leadership and civic engagement. Initiatives aims to encourage students to become better engaged with their social and local and political life through knowledge and popular culture. I worked with 18th and 19th students, including boys and girls. I established also I wish to improve this initiative and to do many activities with people with special needs. For example, activities including 10 days, and each one of these days has a different aim. For example, one day for writing essay, one day for Dabka class, another one for critical thinking, another one for yoga, and sports, another one for health, diet and exercise day, for example. So I would like to improve my initiative. Also, this project was selected to present Al-Quds Part College, which is my college, an international conference in Budapest, Civic Engagement Conference. Actually, Leo is very unique and it's personalized and it's quick support for Palestinian students, and yes, it is special for me.
What makes us stand out and what makes us unique is our holistic approach. We understand, as with our own children, that it's just not enough to open the door and maybe pay for their education, but there are going to be many questions, many needs, settling in issues, cultural adjustment, money management. You must remember that these young people come from environments where they've never managed their own money, and their families most likely didn't have bank accounts or don't have bank accounts. So there's an awful lot of extra care and detail that must be considered when taking care of a young person from the demographic that we work with. So by addressing their needs on a holistic and an individual basis, and I say individual basis because these are human beings. It's not one size fits all in our program. We address each issue as it comes for each student and make the decisions then based on their needs.
My name is Abdullah and I grew up in Jabalia, Gaza, Palestine. I was introduced to the Leonard Education Organization, LEO, through a teacher of mine who was already a founding member of LEO. And LEO has remarkably helped me throughout my experience abroad, and most importantly, throughout my Bridge Year program in Senegal. With regular counseling, advising, college application counseling, and most importantly, travel support as plans have abruptly changed due to COVID-19 and travel restrictions. I spent an academic year in Senegal where I stayed with a host family, learned the language, and learned from people about their experiences. And now, due to COVID-19 and travel restrictions, I'm back home in Gaza and lost another academic year. But I'm trying to make the most out of my time at home, and I'm at the same time volunteering for LEO as the Director of Communications, through which I am establishing the first student council ever for LEO, and the plan is that the student council will foster the communications and sustainability of the LEO community, both students and the board. And the thing that I most remember about myself is why I chose the programs I've done or am still doing. For example, I've went to high school in Norway. I joined peace building programs and global seminars in the US, including Stanford and Yale. And finally, I've done my Bridge Year program in Senegal. And so the courage and focus within me had inspired me to embark on a different journey that my people back home would never had the opportunity or the privilege to do. And what I'm looking forward to now is doing and pursuing American education, where I'll be spending enough time exploring new fields to broaden my perspective. I'm grateful that I've received the opportunities to pursue my dreams and study outside Gaza, and I'm grateful for the people I interacted with during my programs and studies abroad. It's humbling and inspiring to share experiences with them.
Pre- and post-orientation and ongoing support is critical. So some of our older students have made videos on what it's like to interview for your visa and your civis, what to pack in your suitcase, what a day in the life of travel for the first time in your life, and transit and arrival in a foreign country, what that's actually going to look like step by step. How to get cheap books when you're on campus, cultural adjustment. We have many webinars. We've also developed and built a student handbook, which was written by older students. So it's in the same speak for the younger generation to understand. And this is the Bible of life in America for a Palestinian. What it's going to be like on campus, information about taxes, information about free things that might be offered to you as a student. We have our rules and regulations also in this handbook, and the students must sign this when they first sign up with us.
Hi, my name is Miral. I'm from Ramallah, Palestine. I'm a sophomore at the University of Rochester, and I would like to share my experience with Leo. I got in contact with Leo in high school. I was in St. Joseph's School in Ramallah, and I was looking for opportunities to study abroad. The US wasn't my first option. However, I happened to accidentally find Leo's website, and I met with Dia on Skype, and it was a great motivational meeting that just got me started to look for universities in the US and discover the opportunities that I have. Other than Leo, my family was my number one supporter in every single way. Since I decided to study abroad and leave the country in order to get a better education, they were my number one supporter. And most importantly for me, they really trust Leo, and they believe that they've put me in safe hands with the Leo organization. I was very confused. None of my school teachers helped me or even had any clue about the process of applying to the US. So Leo really helped, and they provided me with a mentor, Muna. Thank you, Muna. You really helped me. We used to meet like every week, look at the application process, and just strengthen my abilities in certain aspects. And finally, with all the mentoring and the help of Dia, Muna, and other members of the Leo community, I was accepted to the University of Rochester, early decision. My goal now is to focus on my educational and research journey at the U of R. Primarily, Leo helped me discover research opportunities, discover other places to go to in the United States.
So we try to get a cross-section of majors. We have many applicants who want to study medicine and, of course, engineering. We definitely go out of our way to look for students who are interested in architecture, history, education, theater, but those are harder to find. And currently we do have actually a cross-section. We have students studying PhDs in medical research. We do have our medical students. We have our engineers. We also had a young lady just graduate to get her master's in women's studies and gender studies. We have a young lady joining us this coming year who's interested in forensic science. We have IT, students studying IT. We have students studying finance, business, and political science. But even though they've become very self-sufficient and more mature, there are also challenges that happen from the stage of undergraduate to master's and then on to PhDs. So the students start with us maybe at 17 or 18 years of age, and they stay with us forever.
Hi, so I'm Amar. I'm a junior now at the University of Rochester, and I'm from Amman, Jordan. I grew up there, but originally from Al-Azariya, Bethany, in Jerusalem. So now I'm studying mechanical engineering, and I'm in my third year. And to pursue my interests, which I always had in architecture and urbanism and the built environment in general, I'm also completing a minor in art history and a minor in a program called Archaeology, Technology, and Historical Structures. Getting introduced and connecting with Leo was like, it always feels like Leo was godsend, and how I basically applied to all the colleges I found suitable, and but I had no clue about what to do for finances. How am I gonna negotiate financial aid? What am I gonna do in terms of traveling to the US and adjusting there? It was all like, I went in and applied blindfolded, but I Leo was recommended to me by my advisor at the school, and then it was a great connection with Leo, and we found the ways to help me to negotiate the finances and just find my way to make it here and adjust as needed. So for career aspirations, I would fit as a structural or an architectural engineer. That would be really interesting. I'm also considering city planning maybe, and just anything that has to do with cities and the built environment. Certainly I would love to work in things with heritage and working with historic architecture. That would be awesome. I always like just to see interesting and creative efforts to make new work that improves people's lives and makes it like connects people with each other and just brings good to people's lives in general and makes it a bit more fun. Really, the experience of coming here is so precious to me, and I'm definitely so grateful, and know I will only hopefully do great things and keep making the best out of it.
We have been successful in placing quite a bit of students in the past few years with really remarkable scholarships, fully covering tuition, fully covering living expenses. And most importantly, we continue to work with them upon their arrival. We work with them in navigating the college experience, navigating academia, knowing what majors they want to choose, when to choose them. We give them all the advice that we can, given that we have also gone through that experience ourselves. And we are very happy to see how those students have gone on successfully in the American college environment. And we use what we have learned from those experiences, mentoring students who are arriving, to then use those skills and mentor more students who are arriving and adapt and edit throughout the years.
So as our program has only been running for 5.5 years now, we don't have that many graduates, but we do have students already in the workforce. So they work for private equity firms. We have a student who is working for Deloitte, the International Monetary Fund. We have a young lady in the AI department of Microsoft. We have people working in IT. We have one young man who works for a consulting firm for Fortune 500 companies in IT. So our students are starting to go out there and find employment. We have one young lady who is the vice principal of a private school on the West Bank. And our students are coming back now and starting to help contribute financially to the Leo program. So imagine what that's going to look like in 10 or 15 years from now.
So I came in contact with Leo around 2 years ago in my sophomore year at Drexel. My family at that point was facing a lot of difficulties paying for my tuition and sending me money. So I had to look up organizations that support Palestinian students, and I came across Leo, which to my luck now I'm a member of it, and they helped me a lot through my crisis at that time, and they're still helping me. I study in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and I'm doing an architectural engineering major at Drexel University and a minor in construction management. I'm currently in my 4th year out of 5, and I'll be graduating next spring in 2022. I chose architectural engineering as my major because it has to do something with my identity as a Palestinian more than I actually thought. Growing up, I've always seen on the news, like during the war and like the conflict that's happening, a lot of buildings are getting destroyed, collapsed. So I think it gave me an inspiration of doing the opposite and trying to help make my country greener and build more rather than what is actually getting destroyed during the war. it's very weird to actually have goals, because coming to the US, I had like, my ultimate goal was, okay, I have to study in the US. But I never really thought about what I wanted to do after. So when I came here, my mind was blank and I was like, okay, like I'm in the US, now what? So it's been taking me like around 4 years to actually discover what my goals are, long term or even short term. And my main goal for now is to focus on graduating from college next year and then working for around 2 to 3 years before going to master's, to do my master's. And I feel like maybe I would want to pursue a master's degree in something besides engineering, where it's like business, econ, so I can learn more about how to get into the business field while also still doing engineering. So to like expand my experience in my future career as well. So my goal is very general, but at the same time, getting to it step by step will help me figure out what I actually want to do in the future. And it's very important to have someone to care about you in the US, especially someone that treats you like you're their kids and you're their family, such as Leo does to us. Like, for example, if accidents happen, emergency occurs, like we have somewhere to go to, someone to call, especially Dia. And we also, it's very hard to just stay straight and not have anything like wrong happen to you. So it's a nice thing to have and a nice relief to feel that someone here is for you to help you take care of yourself, especially after like being responsible for everything for a long time after coming here alone.
There are many challenges with this kind of work. One of the hardest aspects for me is when I go and visit the families and see what circumstances they live in. And as I'm getting to know these young people, it's heartbreaking. I just couldn't imagine living in such conditions. Some of the camps I go to are extremely dangerous as an outsider and as a perceived foreigner. There have been issues. It's complicated, it's difficult. Of course, the families are all very, very gracious, welcoming and generous with me. They're excellent cooks, so I enjoy that very much. And I'm able to see how our students grew up. You know, I'm able to understand them so much better by meeting their families and seeing their living environments.
What makes Leo distinct in this regard is that we invest in human development. There's a lot of talk in the world of development and economic development about capacity building. And if we want to build the capacity of Palestinian society in the Middle East, we need to invest in young leaders. We need to nurture them and equip them with the best education that they could possibly ask for.
My name is Mohammed Bouchner. I'm 20 years old. I'm studying systems and biomedical engineering in Cairo University in Egypt. A friend of my grandmother introduced me to Dea, the founder and the executive director of the organization, and she asked me about my life, my needs, my grades, and I told her that my father died about 13 years ago, and I am living with my mother and my grandmother, and my grade was 98% in El Thanawiya Al Amma, the last year in the high school of Egypt. Then after they accepted me, they introduced me to the community in the Facebook group, and we kept chatting in the Facebook Messenger till I felt that I'm no longer a stranger. I am focusing on my university now and trying to learn new languages, and I also have some hobbies like playing football, reading about the world history, and I'm trying to have some programming skills. I'm a part of the community that studies in Egypt, and we help each other, and also try to help new students coming to study in Egypt. I really want to work in a field that I really like and I'm really good at, and try to invent and make something new in the field that makes people's life easier and having a good life and helping people and students and making other lives better.
We don't think that that is enough for us. We want the cohort of 5 to become a cohort of 25 one day. But that requires more investment from people who really care about supporting Palestinians, to supporting young people become successful experts and model citizens and leaders. We have that problem in the Palestinian society is we often lack the human capital that is required for development, for creating a bright future for Palestinians. We want to do the work, and sometimes we face financial challenges in how far we want to go in expanding the size of the incoming pool of students. And we hope that in the next few years we will be able to do that. But that work cannot be done without the generous contributions of those who are really truly invested in the future of brilliant young Palestinians and the future of their societies, frankly.
As you can imagine, we receive an awful lot of emails and requests, young people seeking opportunity and wanting to belong to our community. We have very strict and rigid vetting process because we've learned that it takes a certain type of young person dedicated and focused to their educations, but with a certain ability to take on the travel, to take on this big adventure and to flourish in the process. As you can imagine, depression and homesickness can be a very big issue for these young people so far from home, even for our own children. These days are highly competitive, and the college life is a challenging one. So when we're reviewing these young people, we take into consideration what they want to study. Of course, their grades, their family financial situation. We insist on proof. We also have partners in the region and people we know in the region double check the information for us. And as we're working with them for a year or more before we start to match them with schools, we really get to know who they are. And then we select the few that we really believe are going to benefit from an experience like this.
Hi, my name is Haya, and I am one of the founding members of the LEO program. Coming from home, there's a misconception that once you come to the United States and you enroll in a college, all you have to do is study and get the grades, and that's how you survive and you make it. But the truth, the reality is, and that we find it the hard way, is it's a very different educational system. It's a very different lifestyle and mentality. And for students who are especially Palestinians coming from underrepresented areas and under-resourced, it's a whole different challenge that you need bigger and stronger mentorship and support through. And that's why LEO is so unique in the way it does its mission, because it doesn't just get you here and that's where their mission stops, but actually it gives you the support so you can survive and flourish while you're here. I have always had a passion for numbers and business. I've always had a passion to tell stories with numbers. And back home, ironically speaking, business majors is a major that's slightly looked down upon, because if you're not an engineer or a doctor or a lawyer, anything else doesn't really count. But I had such a passion on such an early age and stage of my life that I knew it so well, and I wanted to pursue programs that were reputable, that were strong, that could build me in that sector of being in the business industry. And so I really wanted to come to the United States for that reason. Dia is a very special person for me. She is my first mentor, I would say my first true mentor. She's also my model. She is the person I look up to. Her dedication, her strive and determination for this mission is beyond me. I always say Dia can move mountains, and if you're on her side, you will be moving mountains as well. And so Dia is an example of how much sometimes the work can be hard to achieve a mission, but if you stay dedicated, if you have perseverance, fruits will come out somewhere, even though in places you don't know about. I wish for LEO more success and more exposure so it can reach more students.
I would love to give the opportunity I was giving to every single person at home, because I know there's many talented minds, many bright minds at home that are filled with dedication, and they just don't know, they don't have the opportunity to use that or maximize it. And so if it was up to me and Leo could help and reach every student, that would be my ultimate goal.
I'm a big advocate of international education. I think every society benefits by sending some of their youth to study in foreign countries. This is a win-win situation. With these Palestinian youth, they make fantastic ambassadors on their campuses. They engage in international day activities, international week activities. We support them with anything they need for their events on campus. They get to meet young people from other countries, from other societies, from China, from Japan, from India. This in time, I believe, is good for diplomacy. This is good for business in future. It's very good cross-cultural education. And then these youth can take their understanding of the different cultures of the young people that they became friends with, befriended at school, and studied with, and take this information back home with them. I think it enriches all societies to send some of their youth to study in other countries.
I want to use those skills that I've acquired in the last decade of my life and pay it forward. I want to be able to look at a Palestinian high schooler that I see myself in and tell them what I've learned, tell them what mistakes I have made. I want to be able to say, what kinds of things make you distinct and unique as a student? A lot of the students who come from Palestine don't see their own potential. And my job as someone who's been through that journey is to give them that confidence in themselves, to help them identify their strengths, to help them see why they are unique individuals. And that has been successful in the last few years if you look at the output of an organization like Leo.
How do I see Leo 10 years from now? Well, unfortunately, I think that Leo will still be a very necessary program 10 years from now. But on a positive side, I see our older students who are continuing to engage. Our alumni are very much a part of who our community is. I'd like to see one of them running our program. So currently all the students work together. So if anything were to happen to their leadership, such as myself anytime soon, any one of them can step into my place and take over in the daily running of the program. And in fact, there are a few students that I do work with on a daily basis to help me run the program.
I'm very hopeful that they will continue in that tradition of giving back to younger Palestinian students, and a cohort of 5 could hopefully become a cohort of 30. And frankly, that's where I see the organization headed down the line.
As you can imagine, working with 84 young people in this age group, I work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year.